It's nothing. It's also legal here in Illinois, and this is a leftover roll from a dog bag roll.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason, Joe, and Crams are here, and it is time for side 3. Today we are talking about singles acts from the 1980s. Are Hall Oates that? Are they just a singles act, nothing more? That's debatable. But 1980s, definitely a decade that I think saw a shift away from, maybe not away from albums, maybe that's not a fair statement, but towards more single-centric artists, I think. Maybe that's fair. So yeah, here's some that we think have better singles than albums in the 1980s. Who you got?
The 80s are the cream of the crop for this, especially because this is actually a little bit harder because when I think of like all of the big pop hits that I love from the 80s, a lot of them are friggin' one-hit wonders. Like it's tough. So, but I've come up with big names of acts that have huge singles, huge hits, but I don't really think have great, even one great album, including Phil Collins. I mean, you watch our albums video, you get the impression that I just like do not like Phil Collins. It's not true. I love his hits. I love them, but I don't think, to make an album, you need 45 minutes of really good music. He never put that out for me. But the hits, fantastic. Feel the same way, and I love this artist, Billy Idol. Doesn't really have a great album, but man, you give me like his 9 best songs, and I am friggin' happy for a while. Like that's how it goes. So to me, Billy Idol is like an amazing artist, even though like if I'm being honest, he might be only like 12, 13 songs deep for me. But still, like I hold him high up because I friggin' love him. So I got Phil, I got Billy. Here's a shocker, and Jason is gonna not like this. I got Motley Crue. I love the Motley Crue hits. I really do. I think they're catchy as hell. I think they're fun. I think they got that perfect 80s plastic fake aesthetic. I'm also gonna throw out Duran Duran. They have a lot of songs that I love. Do they have a 4-star album? Maybe not. Maybe Rio. Maybe. The new one's actually pretty good, but like they're another group where it's just like give me their not even their greatest hits. Give me their 10 best songs. Give me the ones you hear on the radio, and it's great. I will still go to see them live. But to me, the number one singles band, I don't think this band has a good album, but they're one of the most famous bands of all time. Bon Jovi. I love their hits. I think their hits are great. But have you ever? Everyone's like, "Slippery When Wet" was a big hit, and it's like, no, man. Like the good songs are good and the bad songs are bad. Bon Jovi has like no good deep cuts really at all, and it's not like, and everyone's like, "Slippery When Wet." It's just like one of those big, 80s power rock, hair metal albums. Like, no, like it doesn't touch anything like Pyromania, Hysteria, which are strong start to finish to me. Scorpions have great records, like Van Halen's up there. Bon Jovi is not up there with these other 80s hair metal acts. They have a bunch of good hits, and that's it. Nothing else.
All right, you touched on a couple that I definitely agree with you on. Leading off, probably Bon Jovi, because I do like the hit. I think Bad Medicine is such a fun song. I listened to New Jersey once and it sucks. Like it's a bad album. I've listened to Slippery When Wet. My feeling after the album was over was those are some great singles and everything else is just awful. Like I was expecting, because I'm a guy, if you have a ton of good hits on an album, I'll probably give you 4 stars. I don't even think I can get to 4 stars on Slippery When Wet, despite half of these singles on that album being great. It's just the rest of it is so weak. So I'm with you on Bon Jovi. A band. This is just my first impression. I wait to the discography to take my head off. The Cure. has always been a band that I love the singles, and they just stand out so much over the album cuts. And I know that's heresy, but I love the non-album singles like The Walk and The Love Cats, and I love Close to Me, and I love Boys Don't Cry, and just like Heaven, Love Song. But it's like a full album experience. Not that I don't like any of the albums, but comparatively to the singles, I've always been left wanting more. So we'll see. Maybe that'll change when we do the discography, whenever that happens. But I adore the Cure Greatest Hits. Can't say I really love any of their albums yet. With you on Duran Duran, although I do like Rio a lot. As far as like lopsided like singles to albums, I mean, the Duran Duran singles are incredible. Hungry Like a Wolf, Rio, even the later ones like Notorious, Girls on Film, the first album, Wild Boys. Like Duran Duran Greatest Hits is just wall to wall bangers. And other than Rio, I think they've released some pretty, not bad, but just not on the same level album wise. Their deep cuts don't quite hold up like their singles do. One that's they've released so many cheesy singles, and in the 70s I could say that their albums were pretty good, but Heart in the 80s, I mean, I think These Dreams is so much fun to listen to, but you go back and listen to like a whole album, and it's like These Dreams. It's a Bon Jovi experience. It's a bunch of hilariously fun over the top singles and a bunch of songs that just kind of suck. Um, and their 70s stuff is great, but they changed band members and everything, and it was just the Wilson singers and a bunch of outside songwriters in the 80s. So I don't feel bad about saying that, but I still, These Dreams comes on, I just friggin' crank that volume all the way up. Are we doing five? Do we have to do five? I can do more. Brian Adams, I think he's got some great singles. Never once have I been compelled to listen to like an entire Brian Adams album. Like Cuts Like a Knife, total banger. I have no idea what album it's on. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like he's just a guy. I like the singles. I like him on the radio. I don't turn him off, but never been compelled to listen to a whole album or anything from him. Nothing I've heard really stands up.
Well, you didn't say the one that I really wanted to say, and I was holding it to see if one of you two said it. But
Mm.
if neither of you do, if Jason doesn't, I'm going to reveal it because it is obviously the number one.
The viewers can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe Cuts Like a Knife is from the album Cuts Like a Knife. All right, so my first pick, it may be controversial, we'll see, but I actually am gonna go with Michael Jackson. And so I know, but is Thriller good because it's a good album, or is Thriller good because it's just a ton of singles? I mean, I begrudgingly put it on my 82 list. It's a 4-star record because all the songs are good. But what is it really? Is it a bunch of singles or is it an album? Listening to it, it's hard to take in as an album. It's just single after single after single. It's impossible to listen to and think like this is a great album. I don't know. That's
No,
just me.
literally everyone thinks that except you.
I also had Duran Duran on my list for all the reasons you guys said. I think Rio, I did actually put it 4 stars, but it's shaky. I think the singles stand out pretty heavily on that record, and then from there, God knows what happens. So, I have Elton John on my list. I think I said at the end of the Elton video that even through all those rough years and those bad records, it tended to be at least one pretty solid, good, memorable tune on each of them. This is maybe in line with Joe's Cure pick. I've got Depeche Mode. For me, I can take a greatest hits and leave it at that. I don't think their records are that great, and I struggle to listen to that band consecutively for that many minutes. So I'll put them on my list. And then I got a few here. I don't know which to go with. Phil Collins would be probably the one that I feel the most about, but I'm trying to go in a different direction than. We'll just say Phil Collins. Phil Collins is probably the one. Although I like Phil's records, but I mean, I don't know. The problem with me is, like, in most cases, if you don't have good albums, I don't care about you. Like, so if you're not an albums artist, I'm probably not that interested. I wrote Madonna on my list, but I don't like her singles that much, so this kind of eliminates her.
All right.
I like her albums too much. She was, a lot of these 80s artists, I could probably just go with their greatest hits and like be fine. Like I could be fine just listening to the Immaculate Collection for the rest of my life and skipping over the Madonna albums. Same with Duran Duran greatest hits. Same with someone like Steve Winwood, probably. Like I love the hits.
Well, I haven't mentioned it yet, but here's the correct answer, because we're talking about, like, yeah, I can take the greatest hits of Duran Duran, of Bon Jovi, of Phil Collins. If you take the greatest hits of this band, you're like, these are some of the best songs ever written. But do they have a monumentally, like, amazing album? In my opinion, no. And it's The Police. Like, the 15 best songs by The Police, you would think they're the best songwriters on the planet. But, like, is there a bona fide, like, no one can deny, start to finish, this is a masterclass album? Like, I know Joe likes Synchronicity and all these albums a little bit more than me and Jason do, but they are the best greatest hits band ever by far to me. Like, their singles are so freaking good. And then some of their deep cuts don't even like sniff that level of quality.
I wasn't thinking of them because their first two albums were in the 70s. So that takes off a big chunk, Roxanne and Can't Stand Losing You and Message in a Bottle. So I
Even
wasn't
if you,
thinking about them, but that's one of the bands that, like, my first experience was the greatest hits. And I was like, this is the greatest band of all time. Like, my God, every one of these hits. And I kind of agree, but I do like Synchronicity a lot.
I don't care for their hits that much, so it's the best Police song is like a 3.5-star song for me. So
Jason, do you feel that way about U2 versus the Police, or do you think U2 has more comprehensive, complete albums than the Police do?
they definitely do, without question.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I considered putting them on my list, and then I was like, nah. I like how's it called? After the Fire.
Unforgettable Fire.
Unforgettable Fire.
Seems ironic now.
Yeah,
That was your number one, right?
that was my number one. I thought, I like that enough to not know the album title, but to not put them on the list.
And I think A Sort of Homecoming was your number one song, right?
I don't remember. Yeah, but maybe. All right. Thanks for joining us for Hall Oates week. Check out those other videos if you haven't seen them yet. Hit the like button here. Let us know in the comments who your favorite singles artists are that you don't think have great albums. And subscribe. Hit the bell. TLM for life. See you in the next one.